Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Alolan Sandshrew. As the Alolan Sandslash is currently banned for the Remix Cup, we're going to have to use the smaller version, and honestly it's not a problem as this Pokemon packs a punch. So let's take a look here at the team, let's take a look at our first opponent, and let's take a look at what the Alolan Sandshrew can do here. Honestly, so many Pokemon are weak currently to the Ice typing, which is lovely for this Pokemon. I encountered so many Dragonite leads, honestly like my team around Dragonite is everywhere right now. I encounter like 3 or 5 times a day. It is like kinda wild, but also quite a lot of Gligar around. And honestly, this Pokemon was so lovely. So many flying types are currently floating around, so it's a great Pokemon to use. One thing that I have to say as well is that I decided to run Blizzard here. There was one battle, I'm not sure if it's going to be in here as well, where I was running the Gyro Ball, but for this team here it doesn't really make too much sense. Why it doesn't make sense? Because you're going to have 2 Pokemon in the back that are already able to beat something like the Carbink. And that's basically why I kind of want to go for Blizzard here instead. Blizzard going to allow you to beat the Mandibuzz a little bit easier, which might be a little bit of an issue for our backline. So here we're going to see a Charmeleon in the lead. We can go for the baits here easily with the Night Slash. And I have to say, while it took quite a long time until I got my first Night Slash boost, they just kept coming afterwards. Like I had so many Night Slash boosts back to back to back as well, which was absolutely wild. I was quite lucky with them, I would imagine. But here we're going to encounter an ABA-style team with 2 Charmeleons and a Salazzle. No problem for our little boy here. Let's take a look at them. We're going to be able to let this move go through actually as well, which is kind of nice. And I can try to go for a potential Gyro Ball, of course. The opponent doesn't know. And so we can go for the Night Slash and get the final shield from the opponent. And now it's time to sweep with my Cresselia. Cresselia is basically the only Pokemon that I would kind of most likely swap out for this team. I think it would be better to go for something like a Gligar, maybe. The thing is, Gligar going to be a little bit weaker against something like, I don't know, like in general against Water-type Pokemon, so you could even argue of going for something like a Mantine. But, yeah, I would like to have a kind of harder answer to Annihilate, because Elite is pretty bad against Annihilate, Brisasop is okay against Annihilate, and Cresselia is still okay, but it can be a tricky matchup. Look at this, we're going to have here the Gastrodon in the lead. They swap out into the Feraligatr, and here if we had something like a Mantine in the back, it would be a little bit easier for us as well. But we decided to stay in for a little bit, go for Night Slash, and now we can swap out into our Cresselia. And you might think, oh, the opponent's going to be able to align themselves, right? You're totally right with this, and I don't care. I literally don't care. Why? Because I can still get a shield advantage here. I can get rid of my Cresselia, which would be horrible against the Gastrodon, but also I will be able to, yeah, I don't really care too much about the alignment. That's kind of what I want to say here, because alignment does not matter for me. I have still a Pokemon that can beat Gastrodon with a one-shot in the back, so why do I care about it? And so I can just go for a Night Slash here, knock out the opponent's Feraligatr. They might be able to align themselves now, but doesn't really matter. We will find out shortly. It's going to be a Jellicent, which is actually going to be better for us, but we kind of need a boost here because one Night Slash is not going to be enough to knock them out. You know what would be cool though? If we get the boost immediately here, right? Look at this, first boost coming through, first Night Slash coming through here as well, forcing a shield from the opponent. And at this point, it doesn't matter what the opponent does here, and we're going to get a double boost. We're going to be a +4 attack now on our Sandshrew. And so we're going to, I think I said this entire time Sandslash before, did I? Definitely Sandshrew here. We're going to be able to knock them out here as well, as our attack cannot get any higher. Look at the damage output against the Gastrodon. They're forced to go straight for the Dragon Claw, which means we cannot speed them with the close combat here, with the Shadow Gallade, and this is going to be a good game. This team is so much fun to play, I have to say. So, moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have the Berserker in the lead. This is going to be a pretty bad lead for us because, yeah, basically Berserker beats our entire line, which is a little bit annoying because some weird YouTuber was showcasing Berserker before. And yeah, so it's a little bit tricky for me. Of course, like it was me with my Dragonite line as well. Of course, they don't have to be copying this from this, but I definitely kind of enjoyed the Berserker as well, is what I want to say with that. Here we're going to see the boost, and this boost can come in clutch as well, as we can now go for the full farm run against the opponent. I'm just going to use the shields. I don't really care too much about what the opponent tries to go for. And they even swap out into the Annihilate, which is kind of sad for us, because now we're shieldless. The opponent still has their Berserker, and it is going to be a little bit of a trickier one for us, because the Shadow Ball is going to chunk quite a bit. I'm forced to go for the bait here. The Grass Knot is going to be able to get the shield at least, but I cannot reach another one. I cannot, and so we are in a very tough spot. My only win con here is if I can go into my Gallade and catch a charge move onto my Sandshrew. That's basically the only way of winning this game for me, but let's take a look at this one. We're going to be able to go for the Leaf Blade, and the opponent decides to go ahead and let this move go through for whatever reason. This is going to be interesting because it means that they're going to have something in the back that they think can win the game for them, and I guess it's going to be the Mantine. I tried to catch the move onto the Sandshrew. It did not work out as they tried to catch the move as well, but I can at least still go for some charge moves here. Maybe if I get another lucky boost I have a chance here, but I sadly don't. And so this game is sadly over. The opponent has 2 aerial ace stored. We don't have a shield. The opponent has a shield. And so even though we have a move stored on our Gallade, it doesn't matter. Good game there to the opponent. Let's move on to the next opponent. Sandshrew against Auroras. Here it would be lovely to have Gyro Ball, and I kind of want to bait a potential Gyro Ball here. So I try to go for a charge move where I'm definitely going to have a Gyro Ball ready already. But let's take a look at this one. The opponent is going to, let this move go through. But what you see as well is the attacker rolls sharply. So we're going to have, again, another double boost on us. Of course, the opponent can boost as well, but it doesn't matter. For them, it's guaranteed for us. It's a 12.5% chance. But look at this. We're going to be able to go for another charge move, and they're going to catch the move onto the Annihilate. Happy for me, I can just go ahead and go for Night Slash, get a ton of damage onto them, and put them easily into range for a Leaf Blade. I might not be able to win this matchup with my Gallade, but I don't care about this. I just want to get the shields from the opponent, and get the Annihilate low enough that I'm most likely going to be able to Psycho Cut them down with our Cresselia. And so, while they can go for the Night Slash here, I'm going to go for the CMP tie here with the Leaf Blade, which is going to be able to force the final shield of the opponent. They can go for another Night Slash, which is not going to be enough to knock us out, and they're gonna get the boost here, which helps them to knock us out, because otherwise we would have been able to even realign ourselves. But it might be even better like this, because they get more energy. The opponent is going to show their Auroras again. They can go for the Media Beam. I don't really care too much about it. It is not going to be enough to knock us out, and it's going to be a Chestnut in the back lurking. Future Sight is going to help us out quite a bit. You don't really need Moonblast for this team, because you have already an answer for those Strength type Pokemon in the lead tier, and a bait basically with the Say-Up of Gallade, so it is kinda safe to go ahead and go for the Future Sight on this Pokemon. And here we can still reach the Night Slash, and this is going to seal the deal. Sandshrew going to be able to win this for us, and we can move on to the next opponent. Magcargo in the lead. And I was fearing something here, especially after seeing the Pokemon that they swapped into. A Charm Clefable is absolutely wild, but apparently the opponent is running Charm Hole here. And honestly, after playing against it here, I kind of want to play it as well. If this, I don't know, like maybe I'm going to do a video about Charmer as well, because Magcargo looks like a lot of fun to play for this cup as well. But yeah, we have to see about this. I was looking actually at Magcargo before I did those battles here as well, as a potential Pokemon I want to showcase. But of course, here we're going to get completely demolished by this Pokemon. We can at least still swap out. We still have 2 Night Slashes stored, but I'm fairly certain that it's going to be in the back some another like Charm user. I'm forced to use a shield here in case it's an overheat, which would do a tremendous amount of damage. But as you can see, it's going to be a Grand Bull. I just have to hope that this is going to be enough to put them into farmland range for myself here with the Future Sight. It is barely not, because of the debuff of the Rock Tomb, and so they can still go for a crunch, and this basically means this game is over, and so we can just decide to forfeit this battle. Next opponent. Dragonite in the lead. Lovely. Let's see what's swapping in here. It's going to be the Annihilate, and I am gonna go ahead and go to make a late, which was a little bit late here as well, I think. So, Night Slash coming through, we can still take one. Luckily, they did not get the boost here. I have to say, I feel like Annihilate is kinda an annoying Pokemon for the Pokemon Go meta itself. It is a squishier Pokemon than Medicham, but I feel like it is definitely a little bit less handleable right now. I feel like there should be kinda a I don't know, rebalance update towards Annihilate, kind of focusing towards an Annihilate, where you don't rebalance Annihilate itself, so like keep the Pokemon itself. I don't think there's anything that you can do in order to kind of, nerf it or whatever, but try to basically buff Pokemon that are good against it. For example, buff some Psychic-type Pokemon with like something like a buffed Confusion or whatever. I feel like this would be definitely a better play to kind of balance out the Annihilate a little bit more. Here we're going to be able to go for the full farmland with the Sandshrew. I expect the Annihilate to come back in, but I was wrong. It's going to be a Gligar. And I make a little bit of a mistake here by going straight for the Blizzard, because I just want to say goodbye to this Pokemon, because I hate it as well. I just don't really like this Pokemon at all. But it doesn't matter anyway. Why not go for a triple KO here with the Sandshrew and just win the game? Next opponent, look at this, another Gligar in the lead, so they're forced to swap out immediately. At least that's what I thought, but they decided to stay in for a little bit as they go ahead and go into their what's called Jellicent. And this is lovely for me, because now we can put them into a range where I can hopefully get a shield here. This would be amazing for me. But also I can just get them into a range where I hopefully going to be able to win this here with the Cresselia. Look at this beautiful catch on a Shadow Ball. That was kinda silly. But I can still at least go for another Grass Knot here, and I think I can just force the opponent to use shields the entire time. So we're going to be fine, but they decide to let this move go through anyway, which I'm totally happy about, because now in comes again the Gligar. You know what's kinda cool? I usually don't run Future Sight on this Pokemon, but now I do, so maybe we can hit it, but I doubt we can, because the Air Raid is sadly doing a little bit too much damage, so we can only go for the Grass Knot, which is still going to be able to get a shield from the opponent, so I'm totally happy about this. I can go back into my Alolan Sandshrew. Sandshrew is going to get out the Toxapex, and our Glade is going to have a good time here, I guess. We can at least still go for some neutral damage here with the Leaf Blade. But as you guys see, we are not going to be able to two-shot them, and you see me also deciding to let this move go through. Why do I do this? I'm not too sure, but I was thinking I would most likely be able to survive one charge move anyway. Just for fun, gonna go for the close combat here, and we can swap into our Sandshrew again. The opponent shield us, we still have 2 shields left. I just have to go for a Night Slash here and another Night Slash afterwards to knock them out. And you know what, or why not just no shield anyway, because we know that Brian does barely do any damage. And look at the damage the opponent's Toxapex is doing here. It's basically a 1 in turn, and so we're going to have a great time here right now going for the Night Slash. We still have 2 shields left, so the Gligar's only place to go for the full farm down. I can go for another Night Slash. We're going to be able to now go for our full farm down here, and we can win this game. Final opponent, great lead for us, so let's see what the opponent is going to swap into. It's going to be the Steelix, and you're kinda going to have to stay in here for a little bit as well. It's not going to be a great matchup at all, but it's also not going to be a bad matchup. And we're going to see in this battle, which I kinda wanted to put here as well into the video, that there's going to be another Pokemon that can be a little bit tricky to deal with for this team. I don't think it is too bad, it is just a little bit of a trickier one. It's not going to be the Steelix. Steelix is kinda fine for you, especially with the Sandshrew. But yeah, we can just go for a shield and farm them all the way down and get a ton of energy, which is going to be great. Crunch is going to not drop our defense either, which is kind of lovely for us. But you're going to see now the final Pokemon of the opponent. It is going to be the Magnezone. Magnezone can be a little bit tricky for this team. I have to say that because, yeah, we're going to have the Glade, which is going to be fine in terms of doing damage, but you cannot really take a lot of damage, and so that can be a little bit tricky. We're going to have our lead of the Sandshrew, which is kind of fine for it, because you have at least very fast Night Slashes with just around like 50% of the opponent's health, and so they kind of have a team effort play maybe against the Magnezone, but it can be a little bit tricky otherwise. So here it can still be kind of good for us, because we can go ahead and go for a charge move here with our Cresselia. Grass Knot is coming through, they cannot swap out anymore, and I can try to catch a move here. This is going to be the opponent's Mirror Shot, which is lovely, because they're forced to go for another charge move straight away, which is great for us. As the opponent goes for another Mirror Shot, I can go into the Sandshrew, and I was kind of hopeful that I'm going to be able to win the game. But honestly, I feel like this Night Slash, not this Night Slash, the move that came just through the Volt Switch did way more damage than I expected. And so as you're gonna see, the opponent is going to be able to use a shield here, and they can barely farm us down, which is going to be enough to sadly get too much energy here against us. And so I'm just going to forfeit anyway. And this is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. There's still definitely play against Magnezone, so don't be too worried. And yeah, if you have those Pokemon, try this team out. It was a lot of fun, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.